round two of trying to record this. We had to redo the beginning here, but we're good. We're back. Hello, welcome. I hope
Hello.
you're having a wonderful time doing whatever it is, wherever it is that you're doing those things. Today we don't have a ton planned, shall we say, strictly. There's a variety of things we're going to talk about. You are going to go first, but I want to give an update first on my skin because for those who have watched the other episodes, I spent months trying to get approved for medication that would provide me the proper care and getting rid of my psoriatic arthritis. Now, got approved. I took it 2 weeks ago. I believe I took it 3 days or so after I had recorded that podcast 2 weeks ago. So now it's been 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks, I have already seen stuff change, but I'm not 100% lining it up to the shots. It could also be that the weather is getting nicer. So we shall see. But I have noticed some small scale things that have never happened that are now happening. Thinning of the skin in certain areas, the dryness in certain areas, like around my eyes, have gone away. Like if you look at some of the older recent, like the past podcasts, you'll see I've got a lot of red around my eyes. I no longer have that. That's because if you see any dark circles, that's just because I'm sleepy. But I feel like it's working. I feel like it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and I'm only 2 weeks in. I'm supposed to see completely clear by like 6 months. So the fact that I'm already seeing stuff that's hopefully related to it gets me very excited. No side effects, pretty easy. Once I got approved and got the shots, it's going to be an easier process to manage. Uh, so yeah, overall a positive thing. I'm excited to take the second shot because I took one. I have 4 weeks. I take the second one. And then after that, that's sort of like my booster. After that, it's once every 4 months. So I'm excited to take this booster and see how far that propels me in terms of my recovery. With that, let's go right into your topic that you said you wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
I believe it was about the basketball player.
yeah, a supreme basketball player. Yesterday, uh, the captain, Willis Reed, passed away. He was the captain of the New York Knicks. And this is not going to be a sad memorial. I want to relate it to him to my life. When I was a young man going in high school, we had what was called the general organization in high school. And we used to get 50-cent tickets to go sit in the $6 tickets called the blue seats in Madison Square Garden because we were students. And nobody really wanted to go to see the Knicks play because they were terrible. I mean, the captain was Richie Guerin, Carl Braun, Kenny Sears, Ray Felix. I don't remember who else was on the team, but they were absolutely terrible. And the Boston Celtics were always the team that won, and we were always the team that got destroyed by them. In 1964, I was 20 years of age, and there was a turnaround. Willis Reed was drafted by the New York Knicks out of Grambling, and he was 6'10", a lefty shooter. And I looked at him and I said, what's one guy going to do for this team? I mean, they're terrible and basically terrible. And I was at the first game with my friends, a whole bunch of us. I was in college by then, and we were sitting in a little bed of seats. And I remember the first shot he took was from the left-hand corner, I believe. He was a lefty, about a 15, 20-foot jump shot, nailed it. And I said, oh, wow, this could be the start possibly of something new, because the Knicks had a center called Walter Bellamy, who was 7'1", who could score, but he couldn't move. And Willis Reed was 6'10", and that was stretching it, and he could move. And I said, maybe we'll get better. And in those days, myself and my friends, we lived for the New York Knicks. New York Knicks, a good poker game, going to college, going to Roosevelt Raceway, seeing our girlfriends. We loved the Knicks. Knicks were a priority. And yesterday, when I heard that he passed away, it kind of hit home. I remember what my dad had once said to me, that when he turned 90 and he was ill, one of the worst things that bothered him was not that he was ill, but most of the things that he enjoyed, the entertainers and the things that he watched, people had passed away. So here I'm looking at someone who was 2 years older than me. He was born in 1942, passed away, another hero of mine as far as sports is concerned. Now, I'm not going to go into statistics because it's too long. It'd take too long to go through his statistics. I'm just going to say Willis Reed played for 10 years for the Knicks. He was a 7-time All-Star, a 5-time All-NBA player. He was an MVP. He was a 2-time NBA champion in 1970 and 1973, and a 2 times final MVP. And he was called the captain, and very well deserved. And one of the things I remember most, and which really stayed with me in my life, is when things get tough, the tough get going. Peter, you never give up. In the 1970 championship game, Game 7, the Knicks were tied with the Lakers. And you could go on any YouTube or anything that broadcasts it. The Knicks were tied with the Lakers 3-3 as far as the games were concerned. And the Lakers had Will Chamberlain, they had Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, 3 players who later would be in the Hall of Fame, as would be Willis Reed. And Willis Reed had hurt his leg, and the Knicks come out, and you could see the video of it. The Knicks come out, no Willis Reed. And everybody in the stands are going, where's Willis Reed? Where is Willis Reed? Now, the Knicks had a hard time playing against this great LA Laker team. And then with just a couple of moments to go in warm-up, Willis Reed comes hobbling out. And as I recall, they shot him up pretty good. They shot up his leg pretty good. He had hurt his leg. And took a couple of shots in warm-up. The game started. He jumped against 7'1" Will Chamberlain. And Willis Reed hit his first 2 shots in the championship game. He played a few minutes. Everybody was shocked, including the Lakers, that he came out. He was limping, dragging his left leg. And everybody in Madison Square Garden was wondering what the heck was going to happen. And the Knicks wound up winning the championship. And he inspired Walt Frazier, who was the guard at the time, played guard position, scored 36 points. They had Dave DeBusschere, Bill Bradley. The Knicks team was inspired, as was everybody in everybody who watched the game was inspired by him. And the Knicks didn't just win by a couple of points; they blew out the Lakers. And it only proves that get tough, the tough get tougher, and that you can inspire not only yourself but everybody else. And this was one of my fondest memories of watching him winning the 1970 NBA championship, and again in 1973 winning the championship again. And those were the only two championships that the Knicks have ever won. And that's kind of sad for a New York team to only win two championships in all these years. But the captain died at age 80. And they say you can't go back, but this morning when I woke up, he brought me back to my youth. And I thank him for that. And I thank him for the moments he gave me on the court. And I'm not going to read everything that was said by all the people. Commissioner Adam Silver of the NBA made a very big statement that he defined the Knicks championship teams in the early 70s. And I'm not going to read all of them. There's so many accolades that were sent to him. I just want to thank him for making my life happier and more enjoyable. And I'm sure that if any of my friends who went to the games with me heard this morning, they were both sad and remembered the good times that we had together. And let me just emphasize the good times we used to have together. Most of us were in college or not, and we used to go into the city and we'd have these cheap seats, and as a group take the train from Queens and go into the city. We'd go to a local bar, and hopefully they wouldn't ask for proof because most of us were only 19 and 20. If they did, we had Cokes, and then they used to have carvings of turkeys and ham and corned beef and roast beef, and they used to carve the meat, and we used to have sandwiches, and like young guys, we never had enough food. You know what that's like, Peter, right? And then we used to walk over to the old Madison Square Garden and go to our seats. And when Knicks played now, they were a better team. And when you sat in your seat, it felt like there was a shaking that was unbelievable. And I assume right now that the Knicks are getting better, that they seem to have the same type of atmosphere. But anyway, thank you, Willis Reed. And I hope your family, who are survivors, do better. And that's all I wanted to say about a wonderful athlete who influenced my life.
Well, that's wonderful. I was not prior to doing this podcast, I didn't know you were going to talk about that until just before you had told me. So it's interesting because I was going to bring up my own person who influenced my life because they had just died recently as well. And I'll be much more brief because they impacted my life, but not as much as yours did. So on the 17th, Lance Reddick died. Prolific actor, has done a lot of work. I wouldn't say he was A-lister, like everyone knew who he was, but like for me, he was an important actor.
Excellent.
I specifically liked him in John Wick series, but where I knew him from and where I learned from who he was in one of my favorite video games growing up, was Destiny. It was the creators of the people who created Halo series, not the TV show, not that garbage TV show, the games, the original Halo games that were on Xbox way, way back then. Bungie is the company. They also created Destiny. And Destiny now has a sequel, Destiny 2. Lance Reddick is one of the only voice actors for this game that has been working from the beginning to the end, because the game is ending next year. Next year, the game is over because they've been telling a story for over 10 years. And the story is finally coming to an end where they're going to finish the game. And it's surprising because most games usually don't try to have an end because they want to just keep pumping money. But this is a game where they are going to actively finish it and start a new project completely. And that's where I learned about Lance Reddick, was from that, because I loved how specific and dynamic and unique his voice was. And then hearing him in some TV shows that I would come across as I was growing up, it's like, oh, that's him. And learning about him, and then seeing him in John Wick's.
Wasn't he in
So
Bosch?
yes,
He was in Bosch, right?
yeah, so to pull up a few of the things that he has been in, TV show wise, he was in Law and Order, a couple of Law and Orders, a bunch of the Law and Orders, CSI. He was in Lost. He was in Tron Uprising. It was an American animated science fiction TV show. Eric Andre's show, Beware the Batman, American Horror Story, Key and Peele, Bosch, Castle. That's right, he was in Rick and Morty. I forgot about that. American Horror Story, Castlevania. He does a lot of voice work. A lot of voice work. Understandably so, but also does a lot of other stuff as well. So and I'm sad to find out that this is how I'm finding out about this. Aside from John Wick 4, that's coming out, I think tomorrow or in 2 days. So it'll be sad to watch that. But apparently they are remaking White Man Can't Jump, the Woody Harrelson movie. I know you know that movie.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite sports movies.
He is in that, and it's coming
Has,
out. They're
has,
doing a remake. They're doing a
isn't he
remake of White Man Can't Jump.
I wonder what part he's going to play. He's a little too old to be playing a basketball player.
He plays Benji Allen, whoever that is.
Okay.
And it's interesting because I also know Woody Harrelson's 100% going to be in it. Because I watch a basketball player on YouTube called The Professor, and
Yeah.
he just had a video where he was shooting hoops with Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, I saw it.
So yeah. So anyways, I'm praying from the topic. Lance Reddick, I appreciate him and thank him. I'm sad that he died so early at 60 from, shall we say, natural causes. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
as did Willis Reed,
yeah.
heart complications. Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, he lived a full life. That man had work under his belt. So, can't say he didn't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I guess we can transition to the other things that I wanted to talk about. First, I want to talk about.
Can I say something about him? I didn't know you were going to talk about him either. In the parts I've seen him play, like especially in Bosch, where he plays the police commissioner, he always takes a part where you look at him and he demands respect, that he comports himself with decorous humility, and you look at him and he was real in the part that they cast him in. So he was a very, very, very good actor in what I saw him in.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I liked him in the John Wicks, because it was the perfect fitting role for him. And he wasn't crazy in the films, but he was there and he was significant enough where I'm like, yep, that's where I needed him. It was
Yeah.
perfect, especially for the John Wick films as well. The aesthetic and the idea of them,
Yeah.
great, amazing. Um,
Okay.
I hope in this one, the fourth one, he's got more screen time. That would be nice. Um, but we shall see. So, anyways, let's shift over to some of the topics that's been going on. One, I guess we can go on to this one is more of a techie thing for me. Um, there is today, didn't know about it. Uh, the developers of I don't know if it's the developers for Fortnite or for Unreal Engine. Um, there was a live event that occurred, and they're dropping what's called Creative 2.0, which has to do with Fortnite. So let me explain all this very briefly. Unreal Engine is a software, and it's currently the edge, bleeding edge software for 3D game design, 3D animation, just 3D creation on your computer. What they're doing is insane. And so what this live event was about Unreal Engine, but also about Fortnite, because Fortnite, the video game, currently runs as of this year on Unreal Engine. One thing that I saw, and I didn't know about this event, I stumbled upon it 45 minutes before we were going to do this podcast. And it was really, really interesting. I wanted to understand it a little more. One of the things that they dropped was something called MetaHuman. Now, currently, one of the hardest things to animate is people's faces. Whether it's in video games or in movies, it is difficult to make it look good. People are able to do it, and we currently are able to do it. It's not impossible, but it's difficult, and it takes months and months of work, because one of the most difficult things that trying to pass the uncanny valley to make things look real and not look gross or like something's wrong with it is micro expressions. As I'm talking, because I'm in low quality, you can't see it as much. But as I'm talking, I have micro expressions. My eyebrows over here are moving up and down, but on the sides over here, for those who are listening, you can just bear with me. My eyebrows move in different parts, right? My mouth moves, but it's not just my lips. It's every stitch and part of my lips, but also my cheeks, but also my neck as I talk, but also, and then as I'm talking, my nose may wrinkle or my eyes blink, and all of that is happening, the whole aspect of the face. That's a lot to animate, and that's a lot to try and get right when you are using a motion capture suit and you put all the dots on their faces to capture it all. It's not easy. What MetaHuman just did is they did a live performance or a live demonstration where they used an iPhone and recorded someone's face. And within under a couple of minutes, they had a full rendered face, fully rendered, fully available to use and edit and shape and whatever you want, fully rendered. Which, for reference, prior to this technology, you would either need a very, very good computer to render, which means to finalize and submit this project, or you would need days to wait for it to finish exporting and rendering and saving and compiling it into what it finally is. So watching this live production of them on an iPhone, not a computer, an iPhone, take pretty solid quality, take a video of your face and turn it into a 3D model that moves and expresses with you completely to what the words you were saying and recognizes all that and looks decent. It looks pretty damn good. I lost it. I thought it was amazing. Now, this is me because I'm someone who likes to do 3D modeling on Blender and I want to learn more, and it's an interesting thing for me. So to see this was mind-blowing because it just makes so many other things so much easier and just cooler. It gives people the ability to have higher productions without having to invest months or weeks or thousands and thousands of dollars. Um, it's a bit scary because being able to record someone's face and have a full 3D CGI model of them, fully expressive and everything, in minutes is insane. And then they gave a demonstration of what it could look like off of a higher production, like full production value. And that looks photoreal because they showed a production of it of no editing, just recorded the person's face and transitioned it over. They didn't do any special stuff to make it look cooler. They simply just brought it over. And it looks photo real.
So, Peter,
Baffling.
let me ask you a question. I was watching America's Got Talent last year,
Yes.
and they put Simon Cowell's face on somebody's body and had him singing a song. Is that similar?
Had on somebody's body, like
Yeah,
paint.
no, what happened was uh, they had the talent of this person was he was able to sing, but then he was able to transplant Simon Cowell's face on his body, and his voice would come out of the face that was Simon Cowell's on his body. There was a machine that did it, and it was strictly amazing. Is that what you're talking about?
Um,
It was on
uh,
America's Got Talent, uh, and I mean, Simon Cowell was aghast as one of the judges when they had him singing opera. Then they had him singing like uh, Elvis, but it was the guy's voice, but with Simon Cowell's face.
Interesting. I'm trying to see if this may be it. Um, Let me see. Was it two white guys?
Yeah, one.
Okay, so okay, hold on. Oh, here is this guy. Okay. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. So that's so interesting that this guy, that's weird. Okay. Yeah, yeah. So it's weird that that was considered an America's Got Talent thing. Okay. What that is deepfake. That's the buzzword that people have been hearing for a good year and a half now. Deep fake. I believe in the new Justice League or the Black Adam movie. I think it was the Black Adam movie. Wonder Woman is deep faked. Gal Gadot was not in the film. She was not in the film. They deep faked her because she had a double who was doing most of the stunts and they just deep faked her face. Now, for those who don't know, deep faking is simply just taking a face from someone and putting it on someone else's. But the reason it's called a deep fake is because it's considered without getting super technical, it's just a AI based software that will register your face, recognize where your face is, take the image of this person's face and pop it on yours, and be able to make it look um, real or semi-real.
So is that the same procedure you're describing, where
Um,
they created this kind of face and now they could put it on
it
a
it
body?
stems it stems from the same technology. So what I'm talking about is two steps further. What that was is taking a flat 2D image of someone and putting it on top of my face like a face mask, and then me talking. And the reason why that it looks pretty good because it's a high quality photo and it still looks good, but it's not perfect. And it's not, you can still see that it's fake. You can still see that it's got some glitches and it doesn't look perfect. And maybe the eye twitches or something because it's not 100% there. Um, because it's just like a face filter, right? It's like people who use Snapchat and TikTok and they get like the cool funky glasses and stuff. It's a face filter. That's all that is. That's what those face filters were doing. That's the pre-step to deepfake, was the Snapchat filters and the things that make you look funny and weird. That's what those were. That was the pre-step to deepfakes. And now from deepfakes we have MetaHuman, or whatever this software was called, where we are now able to get full scans of people's body, face, whatever, shoulders up, and it will fully animate the face already. And and if you want, you can even make your own, and they have a skeletal framework that you can overlay on the face, and it will animate the face for you. So for someone who uses 3D modeling, I use 3D modeling on Blender. The way you would get a figure, like if I made a penguin, to get him to walk, I would have to put what we call bones inside of the figure. They're not actual bones, but they act like bones. And we must build a skeleton inside the figure. So you need a bone in the middle for the center and for the chest. We need some for the feet. We need some for the arms, and they all need to connect, and so on and so forth.
Interesting.
So, but I have to individually build those bones. I can have someone set one up and then I can overlay it, right? You can set up a set of bones for like a human and then just use that for all your different models. So similar framework or skeletal framework you're using for the face. They've created areas of points where they can pull and tug, and it makes it emote in a humanistic way. So just wanted to share that technological advancement that I discovered today. Thought it was really,
Very,
really, really cool. And
very interesting.
to parallel to not parallel that, to add to that, was the Creative 2.0. That's something with Fortnite. Fortnite started working on Unreal Engine, which means that everything is going to be higher quality and just more interactive. Things that you normally couldn't interact with, you might be able to interact with now. In video games, right? Originally, it was just like point and shoot games. Now you can climb on things, you can break walls, and you can interact with things that parallel a real life situation. Doesn't look like real life. Fortnite's very cartoonish, but nonetheless. Creative 2.0 was showing off their ability to allow their users to edit and make content for the game, because Fortnite is a video game where you can play a survival of the fittest type game, but they also have a plethora full of a library full of content that's made by players. You can make versions of games in their game if you are a PC player. And it's really neat. It's super fun. It's super cool. It extends the life of a game because you now have this library of free to play content that is just already on your game. Using Creative 2.0, people are going to be able to make realistic looking games. And what I mean by that is, for those who play video games, if you didn't see the video, it's the difference between Fortnite and how it looks cartoonish and colorful and poppy to Call of Duty Warzone, where the entire point of Call of Duty is to look real. It's supposed to look like you're actually in a war zone. You're actually playing. You're in the battlefield. They can now mesh the two together, and you as a user can make games within Fortnite that look like that and interact like that on a level that prior to this drop was thought to only be capable by companies and massive, highly knowledgeable coders and game developers and such. We're now just able to do it for free. So yeah, that stuff gets me excited, and I wanted to share it a bit because I love when that kind of technological advance occurs. And it's just super, super interesting. Which actually spurs another thing that I do want to add and talk about in terms of technological advances, but we're going to take a quick pause, and we're going to come right back because Zoom is ending. So pause. Whoever's listening, you're good. We're just going to cut it real quick. So be right back. And we're back. So the other technological thing that I read, I was actually posting about it on my TikTok. I think it was yesterday. Really, really neat is liquid trees. So saw a video about this. I think it came out last year, but people have been talking about it this year. Somewhere in Europe, some scientists found a way to make shall we say, liquid trees. They fill this container full of water and fill it with a form of algae. And it can remove as much carbon as 2 10-year-old trees, which is great for cities because it's good and it's bad, right? There's a couple complications that I have with it, but I love ideas like this.
Where was
Technological
that?
advances. What?
Where did that take place?
It was somewhere in Europe. I don't remember if it was France or liquid tree scientists in Serbia. Serbia makes incredible innovation. Yeah. So in an attempt to find a solution towards city pollution, they have created liquid trees. It's minimal maintenance, and it's what I said, which is water and algae, but it takes in so much carbon that removes the need for these the tank that it requires is trying to think of it would probably I'd say for anyone who doesn't want to look it up or just can't, it's about the size of like a flat screen TV box, right? Something like that. Or I'd say double in width, but the length and the height are about the same. And it's just filled with water and it just exists and takes in the carbon and does its thing. I love it. I love when technology and nature combine and we create innovations that are under the theme of what's called solar punk. And it's like cyberpunk or steampunk. It's a lifestyle or society that is fantasy, but it is a concept that people like to make art and design around, where it's solar punk has to do with where tech merges with nature and the entire design is to work in line with nature. So solar punk is very much a positive future that involves using tech to like auto farm, and put nature on the sides of buildings where they can thrive, but it doesn't overgrow. And it's sort of like if you've ever been to Disney, the Epcot idea, the perfect society. That's what solar punk is it's a perfect society in terms of technology, a perfect balance between technology and nature coming together.
So actually, what does this liquid tree do? It doesn't grow into a tree. What it does is it functions as a tree to clean the air.
Correct. That's the exact point. And the reason why they came up with this is because when you're in a city like New York, it's not always easy to have trees because, like right now, the trees that are there suck. They've been there and they go through hell because they're surrounded by concrete. They can't grow too big because if they grow too big and they fall, they'll fuck up the buildings. Their roots can fuck up the road and the pavement. So they don't have actual space to grow and thrive. And we also don't plant fruit trees in New York because, of course, we don't want the homeless eating. But overall, the only thing that
Wait a second.
well, I wouldn't say the only thing, but one of the things that we will lose if liquid trees becomes a thing is shade. Shade and what?
wait a second. You just made a remark. We don't plant fruit trees because we don't want the homeless eating. I'll,
Yeah, that was
I'll
sarcasm.
I know, but I'll give you another reason why we don't do it. The rats are so big that if we give them fruit growing on the trees, they'll be able to pick up the cars and steal the cars.
Yeah. Well, they already eat enough of the dollar pizza. So,
Yeah.
uh, I what's another few pieces of fruit?
Yeah.
So, but
Oh boy.
I really like this type of innovation. I love hearing about these types of innovations because it really gives me hope towards a possible brighter future in what is currently a very gloomy society. I would argue globally, but specifically in America, yeah. Um, we got France right now rioting absolutely to their France is doing what France does best. And so, you know, seeing something like this is nice. It's a nice
Yeah, but
positive thing to focus on.
yeah, it's nice to hear about this. The concept seems good, but I can just imagine putting these things in place in lieu of trees in New York. Oh, it would be great. But I could honestly see when darkness comes, they all disappear because in our society, there are people that'll steal things that aren't nailed down
Well, that's the thing. I don't know why people would steal it. It's just water and algae. So you're not really stealing much.
because they can.
Look, the reason I don't see it happening, sadly, at least in America, is because who the hell's going to pay for it? We barely pay our education, our health care, or the kids. We barely have any money for any of that. You really think the state or the country is going to fund boxes filled with water that have to have electricity pumped through them to maintain the water from standing still? You really think that they're going to do that? My ass, let alone build them? Bull crap. I like I think
Are
it's an
you
amazing
going
piece
on?
of
Are you?
technology, but you're gonna have politicians, whether they're state or national,
You're right.
go, what's wrong with the trees? We don't have to touch the trees. It's they live on their own. All they need is a little bit of rainwater every once in a while, and they don't need to be touched. Why would I want to put these boxes in my city? They look unnatural.
You're right.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you for accelerating climate change. I
Uh,
appreciate it.
yep.
So
Yep.
it's, and mind you,
I,
I'm also advocating for this without full knowledge because I want advancements that are positive and beneficial. Simultaneously, these boxes could yield other forms of pollution because, like Tesla, right? Everyone thought Tesla cars were they're removing pollution. It's like, yeah, but you have to charge the damn things. You're moving the pollution to the factories instead of to the cars. So,
and then you got
and
to get rid of the batteries.
right, and the disposal of the lithium batteries as well. Exactly. So, you know, I would like to learn the numbers and I would like to learn the numbers and see, does running one of these liquid trees genuinely bring more benefits than it does negatives? Does it yield a net profit, a net green? Um, Literally. Um, because I'd like to know, does running one via its electricity and the building costs and whatnot, does that cost too much, or is the electricity going to yield more pollution than what it's taking in? So
Well, there are two
overall, though,
factors. There are
what?
two factors, Peter. The actual cost of the electricity and the cost that the electric company is going to charge.
That's true. That is very, very true. Um, I would hopefully like to see them come in the near future because they seem like very easy things to build. Seem like it. I don't know how complex they are. It literally just looks like a fish tank that they fill with algae. Um, I really would like to see them. I wouldn't mind having them in place of some trees in New York. Not all of them. Like, please do not fucking touch Central Park. Do not. And please, in some of the nicer parts, like maybe in some of the nicer parts of Brooklyn or Hoboken or wherever, where you have a nice set of trees lining some roads, don't cut those damn things down, please. But in Manhattan, absolutely. Absolutely. Take those trees, pluck them out, and put them in Central Park. And where those trees used to be, put the liquid trees. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
I am for that. If
yeah.
if it yields positive benefits overall. Yeah.
Well, as I'm listening to you, I have I have three 70-foot oak trees in my backyard, and I'm watching all kinds of birds fly on them, and it's beautiful and annoying, uh, but it's beautiful. And I
Yes.
don't know if would want to see boxes, even though they might help
No,
our
but see,
atmosphere.
no, but that's what I'm saying. I am all for keeping trees. I don't want to cut fucking trees down. You are not in the city. Keep your trees. I'm talking about in cities, Chicago, New York, uh I don't know any other cities. I'm blanking. Fuck.
Yeah, but you know what'll happen, Peter?
LA.
Chicago, Chicago, New York, LA, people either steal them or smash them because the element over there uh, would not appreciate it, a lot of the element, and just destroy it. And at a certain point, if it was cost effective, the government would say, heck with it, I'm tired of replacing broken and stolen
Well, right, but
things.
that's under an assumption that people would violently attack these things.
Well,
I
they break into stores and riot. There's riots and burnings and everything. So I don't know.
you're connecting two to three separate things that aren't needing to be connected. And
I don't know. I think they are.
you're like, and the idea of the rioting causing them to have to constantly replace it as if we're rioting every week. That my point is I'm going to focus on the positive of I'd hope to see these come to major cities, and see how they fare. I'd like to think that most people are not going to screw with these things. But that's under the pretense that they come out exactly how they were built and they don't become Google certified, you have to watch an ad while looking at this green tree, or you can charge your phone while you're doing it. Let it be a green tree. Let it be, let it be a liquid tree. Leave it alone. Let it be a cool green fish tank while you walk around New York. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. They may need it in California with all the fires they have. They may need it. Trees don't grow back very quickly. So
Well, right, but that's the important part, right? The algae takes no time to grow,
yeah,
compared to trees. And two 10-year-old trees, two. That's how one box covers.
wow,
That's
that's nice.
like that's nice. That's real nice. We don't have to think in terms of decades if these get widespread, because we just need some electricity to power them. But it would be really, really nice to be able to
Yeah.
not have to plant a tree and say,
Hmm.
well, in 10 years, this will be really nice, assuming it
Okay.
lives that long and it doesn't get
Yeah.
trampled on or ripped up or burned or whatever. Because God
Yeah.
knows how many trees got burned on their 8th year or their ninth
Yeah.
year, their 7th year. You know what I mean? Through a
Yeah.
wildfire.
Yeah. I
So having
agree.
these liquid trees would be amazing. And
Yeah.
especially because you also don't have to have them on the ground. You could put them on the side of a building.
Like a painting.
Yeah, you could literally put them on the side of a building or on a balcony at a hotel or
Uh-huh.
on wherever, like, you know what I mean? Because it's a box filled with water. You can put it
Hmm.
inside a hotel. You know what I mean? There's so many things that you can do with it that a tree doesn't necessarily have the freedom to do.
Yeah.
Because
Well, the
obviously
whole thing.
the algae still needs sunlight. So it still needs to be in sunlight because it's still a
Yeah.
living thing. But it has so much more versatility. And given how much carbon it'll take in, you could put those fuckers everywhere.
Yeah, and if they're cost efficient, that'll be the key.
Right,
Cost
right.
efficient.
That's what I said from the beginning. Assuming they're
Yeah.
cost efficient, which I would think they are, from what the visuals of what they were, is it's a water pump, some glass or plastic to put the water in, and some aluminum or slight metal to hold the whole thing together.
Yeah. You know what you make me think of, Peter?
What?
When I had a science lab and I had like 20 tanks, fish tanks, ranging from 10 gallons to 50 gallons. And I had all these pumps and the heaters. And all of a sudden, there was a problem with the electricity and it went down. I lost all the fish. I find them floating on the top. That is one of the things that you'd have to have backup generators and everything to make sure that
No, you wouldn't.
this.
You no, you wouldn't. Because it's a living thing and it's because it's algae. Hold on. It's called liquid 3. That's what it's a photobioreactor. It contains 600 liters of water, works by using microalgae to bind carbon dioxide and produce pure oxygen through photosynthesis.
Yeah.
Um, how long does I I want to, without extending this podcast super long, how long does microalgae, how long does it take to grow microalgae? Microalgae grow fast and some can double in size in 24 hours. The other type of algae, microalgae, are commonly known as seaweed. They are fast-growing marine and freshwater plants that can grow in considerable size. So basically, microalgae is like the bamboo of water plants.
Oh my
So
God. You know, we have we have gigantic amounts of seaweed that are coming towards the the coast that are going to be killing all kinds of fish.
we'll scoop it up. We'll take it and we'll bring it to New
No,
York.
no, this is going to be the size of small states coming on in the Gulf and
I read
some
about it.
oceans. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I can just see this great discovery of that you're talking about. And all of a sudden, we have a sci-fi movie and it gets out of control, and
Yeah,
the
I know. Well,
algae
that's what
starts.
The Last of Us is about. The Last of Us is
Yeah,
about mushrooms getting out of control because the spores and the whatever gets inside our system and controls our brains, and that's how we end up as zombies, not because of a
I
infection,
don't.
but because of mushrooms.
I haven't
Um,
seen that yet. I've seen the whole first season. I haven't seen that yet.
that's the whole piece. That doesn't spoil anything. That's just the foundation of
Oh,
where this comes from. Um,
oh, okay,
yeah,
okay,
I'm not spoiling anything. So anyone who's
yeah,
upset, I'm not spoiling anything. Um,
yeah. So let's not be a Debbie Downer. Let's see what happens.
No,
Let's
I'm
find
excited
out.
for it, but to
Yeah,
respond to what you said, even if the power goes out, all you'd have to do is clean it out and refill it. Like there's not, and that's assuming that the algae doesn't last on its own without a pump for however long till the power comes back out. But at the end of the day, it would be a little bit of water and some algae because it'll reproduce and it'll grow in size. It
okay.
grows
Well,
quickly. You know what I
okay.
mean?
Well,
Rather than something like a forest fire where we lose tens of
mm-hmm,
thousands of trees and now 10, 20, 30-year-old trees all burn to the ground and we can't replace those for 30 years.
mm-hmm.
The
Yeah, okay.
replacement time is so much quicker. And that excites me because that means possibly a healthy planet.
Yeah, could it, like you said, could put it on balconies and or
Balconies,
it'll
sides
be,
of buildings, roofs, uh street level,
yeah,
wherever. You
yeah.
you can't put it in the subway.
Interesting. It's into
Can't put it in the
nothing
subways. I'm
will
sorry to say.
the only thing that'll help the subway is a fire.
Yeah. Oh my God, those subways are awful. Oh,
Yeah.
definition of
Okay.
awful. All right.
Good information, Peter. Good information.
It's a good way to end this episode. All right. I hope all who are listening and made it to this end have a good rest of your day, evening, night, flight,
And
car
week.
ride, wherever the hell you are on your walk, your run, whatever. I hope you're having a good, you have a good, you continue to do good.
Yes.
Be kind,
Yes.
love each other. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Yeah. Peace out. Love you guys.